We're gonna have to move, Gutterman. How can I get along with our Mr. Smiley in there?
Can we do that?
Yeah, if we get a forklift. Oh, they're still here. I wonder what her story is.
Based upon first observation, subject to revision with further data, of course, I'd say she's about 5'7", 117 pounds. DIA, CIA, or NSA operative. Recruited out of Bennington College, Vermont. Born in Richmond, Virginia. Turn-ons, Fellini films, and men with hairy chests who read Chaucer. Turn-offs, macho men who aren't for world peace. Also has a cat named Bootsy.
What?
Just kidding, Mac. How the heck would I know who she is?
Alice.
This is the emergency podcast system. This is not a test. Movies are bombing all over the country. They are posing as movies you already know. They may already be in your theaters, your neighbor's home, or even your own. Do not panic. Specialists have been dispatched. They will help you identify these pretenders and defend you against this invasion of the remake. Please stand by for further instructions.
Welcome to the Invasion of the Remake podcast. I am your host, Jason Bishop, and with me today, as always, is Sam Stepanenko.
It's me, or is it?
And over in the other corner, back from the interwebs, and a superstar in her own mind, several superstars in her own mind, Trish Coughlin.
But they're real. It's all real.
That's what the voices in my head tell me.
Tell me. Have you been in here? It's amazing.
Is it all shiny in there?
Oh, there's a lot going on.
Disco balls and flashing lights.
Disco balls, flashing lights. It's like a rave meets a murder mystery meets a video game.
Now I want Space Invader sound effects for that.
I ain't doing it.
I know. Or it depends on how hard it is to find them, right?
Yeah, well, that's going to be easy.
Oh, yeah. Video game sounds are everywhere.
Easy. It's just, am I lazy? Yes, I am.
Well, no, you're not. You do like 6 hours of editing for this thing, so that's not lazy.
No, that's a short edit.
Yeah, exactly. So you're not lazy.
I haven't done 6 hours in quite some time. Today we're going to be talking about Loose Cannons from 1990. Yeah, we're going to remake this. We know it's not that great.
Yeah.
That's why we're remaking it.
That's why we're remaking it. It was a movie that I remember quite liking, but I don't. I do realize what I like about it, though.
Yeah, it's the cast.
Yeah. Well, it's not really even the cast. It's one cast member. Gene Hackman, I can watch in all the things.
And he is so good at comedy.
He really is. I love his facials and his just line delivery. Yeah. That made this whole movie bearable.
Yes, I have to agree with you 100%.
I did like the Captain Uncle and Nancy Travis. I like Nancy Travis and things, but I kind of want her to see her be like a Mossad or a spy. I think that's
Well, she was Mossad.
No, but I mean like in another movie, like a full movie with her like that.
Yeah. Where she gets dialogue?
Where she gets dialogue, where she has a purpose?
Yes.
I the whole time I didn't understand. They were basically the ones to release what was actually on that film that they were hunting for.
Well, no, she was literally, here's your pretty girl for the movie. We don't know what to do with her.
Very obviously didn't know what to do with her. And I really thought Dan Aykroyd, I mean, he was definitely at his looniest.
Yes.
In this movie, but
as a child, I think it was loonier. I wasn't a child when it came out, but when I was younger, it was loonier. But watching it now, it was just honestly kind of sad.
It was sad and annoying. You do get this story behind his multiple personalities, but they're not personalities.
No,
they're
behaviors.
Behaviors and tics from that are.
It's Tourette's. It's not MPD.
Yeah. It's Tourette's of film quotes and television quotes. I mean, it is bizarre, and it doesn't get into his underlying trauma.
No.
Which I think is a very key to how we're going to remake this.
Yeah, I mean, you want to keep the humor, but you need resolution.
Yeah.
Right? Like, very much was missing. And, you know, what we loved about Dan Aykroyd in the 90s, which was this sort of bonkers behavior. I mean, you look at Dragnet and even Ghostbusters and Coneheads was a disaster, but the point being is that's what people wanted to see from Dan Aykroyd. And I actually just watched Grosse Pointe Blank again, and it was that same sort of over-the-topness that worked really well in the 90s that you look at now and go, well, geez, Dan, you can do better.
But in Grosse Pointe, it makes sense in there. Like, it works kind of there. But
it still works, but just barely.
Yeah, but in this one, it just pulls you out every time, honestly.
Yeah. I know we're just jumping into critiquing this a bit, and just to prime you,
there is no plot. That's why.
Hitler's porn tape.
Yep. That's your plot.
/ suicide tape.
Yeah, yes. Well, that gives away the ending. It wasn't really a porn tape. It was a suicide tape, but everybody thought it was the porn tape.
Yeah, it was The Ring before The Ring. Right? It's the film that kills everybody that watches it.
Yeah, but I mean, there's people killing the people that watch it. It's not a random evil creature.
Yeah, because they are...
Are you sure it's Nazism?
Yeah, they know.
Is,
Where's Jeff Omega for this one?
I know, but I mean, they're not coming out of a TV at you.
No, just... They can find you anywhere, though.
Oh, yeah. They're very good at their jobs.
They're very good at their jobs.
Yeah, that Grimmer guy, he just pops up out anywhere. You saw the tape. Must kill you now because you know too much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes no sense because your big witness here is Dom DeLuise, and he's like, I should have never looked at the tape. He never lets on what's actually on the tape. He just says it's Hitler's porn movie. And then we see it, I'm like, it's not Hitler's porn movie? Phew.
What a relief.
And the whole point was they were killing everyone who looked at everybody who's seen it has died. Well, then what's on it, dummy? Tell us.
Tell us before you die.
Yeah.
I mean, have you looked in the mirror? You don't have long.
No.
You can't run. If you do, you'll die of a heart attack. They're not coming after you because they know you're dead already.
Yeah, and he played that up a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Dom was entertaining, but, you know, I love Dom DeLuise, but Dom DeLuise is Dom DeLuise.
Yeah, he kind of vomited his dialogue in here, and it was really fun to watch.
Yeah.
It was bizarre.
It's like all three of our leads were in 3 different movies.
Yes.
Right? Gene Hackman's just a different class of actor than everybody else in this movie.
Yeah, and absolutely. He was playing a nice, low-key comedy that would play today. Everybody else was in Cannonball Run, or they were in Coneheads.
Lots of television.
Yeah, it's very atonal in its presentation because you have so many different types of performances in a movie that doesn't have a lot going for it to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to sightsee with it. It's 1990, but the film was shot in 88. Might have actually played better in 88, to be honest. But if you're watching this now or you're familiar with a lot of stuff from that era, television and film, it is filled with people you saw in that thing that one time, male and female.
Yes.
Very much
and
so.
It's really fun to see everybody. But they were just making names for themselves then, and they all went on to really great careers despite this movie.
Despite this movie, yes.
And it tanked hard.
And understandably. I mean, that opening scene started off in such an interesting manner with them in their costumes, and they're all like from the Alice in Wonderland theme for this masquerade ball that was never really explained.
No. I wanted more on that because I was still confused by it.
Especially considering Dom DeLuise is like a porn king, so they could have had so much fun with that.
Oh yeah.
And that cold open, I was sitting there going, I know I've seen this movie, but a couple times I'm like, am I watching the right movie?
I mean, when we see him again, it's an S&M club he owns. Like, that makes more sense to me.
Yeah, a vaguely S&M club.
Yeah, with Bill Fagerbach as the bouncer. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it was a very sanitized S&M club.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yes. And very few women in an S&M club. Yeah. That was the strange part.
Yeah, most of the women we saw were just hostesses.
Yes.
Had some great gear on.
Yeah, there was a subtext there that I picked up on that maybe I just misread, but I got the impression that this so-called Hitler sex tape was a gay sex tape, right? Yeah. And then the all-male S&M club made more sense that he was into gay porn.
That would make more sense.
That's what I was getting from it.
Yeah. I bet you a lot of that kind of met the chopping block a bit.
Yeah, because they talked
Gay
about
panic.
They talked about how Von, what's his name?
Metz.
Von Metz. You'd think I remember that. It's my sister's last name.
Right?
If you're listening, Melanie, I'm not outing you.
That was Robert Prosky, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that he was being intimate with Hitler in that tape was what I got from it.
Ooh, yeah. There you go. Well, they did say he was part of the inner circle.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Robert Prosky was running for some top-notch
Chancellor of Germany.
Chancellor of Germany?
Yeah.
Well, because wasn't NATO involved with that?
Well, that's what Nancy Travis was saying, that the guy that they're going to become Chancellor of Germany is this guy who we can't have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and he was saying he had no Nazi ties whatsoever.
Yeah, and then you had the throwaway FBI agent who was trying to help him get into office.
Who was... Yeah, that was weird.
Like, that was the thing, is there was like all these characters popped up. And you got no explanation really. Like, as to
the FBI is in and out very quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a waste of a good actor in that one.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was so confusing too with when you brought in the FBI and they're trying to take over the case, and normally that is kind of what happens with these type of things, although you would figure CIA.
That's what I was about to say. If you're doing sketchy shit, it should be CIA.
Especially if it's international.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like so many flaws in this movie. Like you could tell they were trying to go for that lethal weapon buddy cop kind of thing.
Sure.
Right, but they took the crazy cop way, way too far and wasted Gene Hackman.
Yeah. I mean, he did his best.
Yeah. Well, because the thing is, you had Gene Hackman, who was a bit of a rogue cop to begin with, and then you try to amp it up with nutjob Aykroyd.
Yeah.
And it just never lands.
Well, and the worst part is he's got the different personalities, but you don't see a personality. It would have been much more interesting is if Gene Hackman is kind of coming across maybe 4 or 5, and that's it, but they would be distinct and you would know. I mean, that would be a lot
more.
enough.
That would be a lot more interesting where there are actual personalities.
Yeah.
Versus,
No, I was figuring 3, 4 tops.
Yeah. Yeah. Rather than impressions.
Yeah.
Right. Which is what we got.
Yeah.
And sorry, Dan, but not particularly good ones either.
Yeah.
No.
That era, they were better off having Rich Little doing that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and he was doing really old.
that
A couple
guy
of them were
from-
old Warner Brothers cartoons.
Yeah. That guy from Police Academy.
Yeah.
Would have been awesome.
He would have been
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
I mean, it would have been just a joy to
Oh
hear
my
all of
God.
the spot on personality.
If he could do the siren where he's talking to the German guy, he's like, "Oh no, the police are here."
It was uncanny. That siren sounded so legit.
Yeah. How is it in the subway tunnels? We don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, coming out of your mouth, it sounded perfect.
Oh no. That's my best one. I do have a friend who can do a really good one. It's unsettling. And he has done it to mess with us on occasion when we were younger.
Nice.
Everybody loves a friend like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's run the trailer for Loose Cannons. We'll be right back and talk about the cast and a lot more about this movie.
Detective Max Stern.
Hold it, cowboy.
He's the toughest cop on the force.
Come on, go through it.
He thought he'd seen it all.
Poor baby, you having a bad day.
No, I'm having a terrible day. Send something nice to me, will you, please?
You have very strong-looking thighs for a white man.
I like that, yeah.
But nothing could prepare him for his new partner's personality problem.
Will your cat always be coming on assignments with us?
Oh, just very special ones.
A multiple personality problem.
I'll put you with my eyes closed. Are you guys really cops?
I'm a cop. I don't know what the hell he is.
You feel lucky, punk.
I'm annoying you, aren't I?
That's a teensy little bit, really.
Now, he's got a murder spree on his hands.
Bad guy!
So, what's me?
Hired killers on his tail.
They might surrender, but I wouldn't count on it.
And his new partner at his side.
Did you ever stop to think that maybe you're not ideally suited for police work?
Gene Hackman.
If you change, make it into Rambo.
You, Dan Aykroyd.
I just can't deal with the violence. Now you tell me.
Loose Cannons.
There's something wrong with that dude.
All right, that was the trailer for Loose Cannons from 1990. Second week in a row, we've got an Aaron Spelling produced film.
I noticed that too.
I'm not sure how that happened, but
It happens to us all the time. Sometimes
does.
we plan it. Usually we don't.
yeah,
No.
yeah. This was written by Richard Matheson.
Of all people, like, I about shit when I read that.
I know, you people can't see me shaking my head. I'm like, what?
I mean, you look at his pedigree on IMDb, and then there's this, like, sore, like, big oozing pus sore right in the middle of his IMDb.
It's so weird for such a long career that he's had in writing novels and film and television.
He was high that weekend. That's all I can say.
I don't know what the fuck happened here. We talked about Richard Matheson way back in the very first episode when we talked about
I Am Legend.
Omega Man.
And
the last man on Earth.
There we go. All of those things. This was also written by his son, Richard Christian Matheson, who has written a lot of television as well. He did a segment in Nightmare Cinema, which I did talk about in one of our 31 Days of Horror.
Oh, yeah. I like that movie.
Yeah, it doesn't have the pedigree of Richard, and that might be part of what happened.
Yeah. And on to what? Part 2. This was directed by Bob Clark. He also had a hand in the script here. Bob Clark, we talked about way back in episode 66.
That'd be Black Christmas.
That's it.
Where he pretty much invented the slasher movie.
Yes.
Halloween would take that ball and run with it, but that started right there. It started with Black Christmas. And yeah, we know we have another one to talk about now, so we'll get back to that one maybe at Christmas time.
Yeah, they keep coming. We can't keep up. It's hard, guys.
I know. But he also pretty much created the teen sex comedy
Porky's.
That's right.
Which was the highest grossing Canadian film forever until Men with Brooms came out.
And the seminal Christmas movie, A Christmas Story.
Yep.
And another horror gem, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. Like, this is Bob fucking Clark.
And then there's this. What did I say about big, gaping, oozing, pus-filled sore? Think it got bigger.
It's so weird. It's kind of like they took all these really great people, put them together, and they're like, okay, we're going to hit you with a shovel, make you write something while we're kind of, every time you get a little bit lucid, we're going to hit you with a shovel again.
Yeah, there's a lot of people put in here for, hey, I recognize that guy. Yeah. And most of the time they're in, out, pointless.
With no explanation.
Yeah. No explanation whatsoever. This stars Gene Hackman as MacArthur Stern. Got to give him credit for the name.
Yes.
Really cool. We talked about Gene back in episode 69.
I missed that one.
That was the Poseidon Adventure.
The one that you usually miss.
I always forget it.
Everybody's in the Poseidon Adventure.
God.
And then again in episode 152.
No Way Out.
Oh, yeah.
And then 349.
Unforgiven.
Yeah, fairly recently.
That's right.
I knew there was one. I got one.
Right. Dan Aykroyd, we've talked about a lot as well. He plays Ellis Fielding, the cop that comes out of a monastery.
He's staying at a monastery.
Thing.
Monastery therapy.
Yeah.
That's the name for a band.
I love
Monastery Therapy.
Monastery
That's
Therapy.
really good. Write that down.
I love
I
it.
love that. I like
Monastery
it.
Therapy band. DM. DM everybody.
And he's painting the Last Supper with all of the people as himself, which I thought was a really neat touch.
It was a very neat touch.
About his multiple personalities.
Yeah. Which, again, could have become something, but again, dropped right away.
There's so much subtext to that painting that they could have ran with.
And they could have hid out in the monastery. I would have liked to have come back and taken a look around the monastery.
Sure. Yeah, because especially when there's a relapse.
Yes.
Go back and then you have the cop go back to, we haven't even got through the cast yet. We're already
Sorry.
remaking this. But this is great. Hold on to that. Hold on to that. We talked about Aykroyd back in episode 50 for the first time.
Spies Like Us?
Oh, 50.
Ghostbusters.
That's it. God damn it.
Then in 68.
Trading Places.
Yes.
And then 281.
Oh, God, I just said it and it blew out of my head because I was scared.
Spies Like Us.
Spies Like Us.
Deer in headlights.
Poor Trish.
You got mad and I was like, oh no.
This is why I stay home.
If I'm at my house, I can look it up and I don't have to tell you guys.
She cheats. She admits it.
Sometimes I do.
That's okay. Now, we didn't have to out you for that.
Yeah, you did it all on your own.
You did.
That's okay.
Dom DeLuise plays Harry Gutterman, and we talked about him the first time in episode 63.
Haunted Honeymoon.
And then 272.
Cannonball Run.
Yes. Talk about, we're getting into some wasted cast. Ronnie Cox plays that FBI agent we were mentioning. Agent Smiley.
He does not smile at all, for the record.
And, you know, for a guy who plays a really good bad guy, dropped the ball on this one. But we talked about him in episode 84.
Total Recall.
And then again in episode 132.
Another Verhoeven film, yeah.
Yeah, RoboCop.
I can get one.
Nancy Travis plays Riva, the Mossad agent, and we talked about her in episode 146.
I missed her.
Vanishing?
The Vanishing.
Good job. I missed that entirely.
I got that one.
Atta girl.
I
Look at
did
that. You did.
I don't have a notebook. This is the other thing. I did out myself, but I never have a notebook.
That is true.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't. All right. This is some heavy lifting again. Robert Prosky plays Von Metz. Barely.
Barely. Does he get
See-
dialogue even?
He's seen it. Yes,
He
he
does.
does.
I
He
know,
does.
but he-
He's seen on TV, and we never actually have him interact with our main cast
No.
at all.
Not even his henchman, Grimmer.
Yeah, he doesn't really need to,
No.
right? Because he's in Germany.
Yeah. But it would be, a phone call would be nice.
Yeah.
FaceTime.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Well, in our modern movie, we
call
can
in
do-
on your thugs once in a while. They miss you.
Or even if you want to do some tension, you don't show it, you have him in shadow, just talking
Yeah.
on a phone in German.
There
Why
you go.
not?
Oh my God, it's Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Robert Prosky. That might be a hint. We talked about for the first time in episode 178.
In The Last Action Hero.
That's right. Then again in 193.
The Keep.
Miracle? Oh, The Keep. Sorry.
And then 219.
Miracle on 34th Street.
That's right. Paul Koslow plays Grimmer. He dates back to episode 1 again.
Yeah, he was in The Omega Man.
He was. And he was also in Robot Jocks.
See, I will leave it on because I thought we had done, well, you guys had done that before I joined the show, but there was something else
No,
that
we never actually did
No,
Robot
we've
Jocks.
not done Robot
I
Jocks.
have interviewed somebody in Robot Jocks.
That might be why it was stuck in my head because I was a listener before I joined the show.
See?
Aw,
That's nice.
I like that. Thank you.
Awesome. My best friend. Of course, I was going to support his show.
He's not just selling it, he's a client.
They're
I never listen anymore.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
listening to Invasion of the Remake will give you more hair.
I have done that.
If you come to our live show at the end of the month, you'll see how little hair I have.
It's because of all the thinking, man.
Dick O'Neill plays the captain. Didn't even get a name, but he's great in this. He's definitely one of those faces you saw in that thing that one time. We talked about him in episode 230.
The Taking of Pelham 123.
And we probably didn't mention him, but we covered Wolfen in our Werewolves episode in episode 244. And he's in that as well.
Yeah, and very recognizable.
For a
He's
guy
a
who's
guy.
got a bazillion credits, I thought we would have talked about him more than that, but
Yeah.
that's it. Jan Triska plays Steckler. We have a lot of people in this movie saying Steckler. The word Steckler lost all meaning to me, and then he finally shows up. Oh, right. He's a real person. I thought he was dead.
Yeah. Well, I thought he was the Cheshire Cat, but he was not.
No, he was Steckler.
He was Steckler.
Because everybody kept saying, Steckler. Steckler's got it. Steckler knows where it
Yeah.
is. Steckler, Steckler, Steckler.
And then Steckler, very unprecipitously taken out.
Yes.
Like most of the people in this
He's
movie.
in some good stuff, though. He's in Ronin and Apt Pupil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in some good stuff. Leon Rippey was Westcott.
I thought we talked about him more times in this because his name is
Have
like
we
iconic.
talked about it all?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't catch it, but I know he's in Stargate. We may have mentioned him when we did our Spiders episodes and Eight-Legged Frakes. He was in that.
He was the diner runner in Maximum Overdrive.
Oh, good for you. I missed that. Herb Armstrong was the Cheshire Cat, and he was in episode 282.
Cape Fear.
That's right.
And that's the end of my list.
Robert Dickman was the White Rabbit. He was in another Canadian slasher movie called Popcorn. He was also in Bull Durham.
Really?
Yeah, we talked about Popcorn just in our last 31 Days
Yeah,
of Horror.
yeah.
So thought I'd bring that up. David Allen Greer was Drummond.
Yes.
And you can catch him in Boomerang and I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker.
And in Living Color.
And so much more.
He's definitely one of those faces you saw in that thing the one time. He's like ruled the 90s.
But this is like baby Alan Greer.
Yeah, he's pretty young in that. S. Apatha Murkison plays Rachel. She's a face you saw in that thing that one time. I mean, she's in a lot of stuff too. You probably, I know her more for comedies, but she was in Jacob's Ladder, the original, and she
Holy
was in
shit.
Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Reg E. Cathy was Willie, and that dude really likes his comic book movies. He was in The Mask, Tank Girl, and the really terrible Fantastic Four movie from 2015.
One of the actors in this was also in that really terrible Captain America movie from the late 80s, early 90s as well.
I may not have wrote it down, but
Yeah, I'm surprised you missed that.
I have mentioned those a few
What's
times.
weird is you say Willie, and I have no idea who that is. That's the other thing. Like Steckler?
I don't know who Willie is, but you probably did catch Tobin Bell as
Yes.
Gerber. He's another blink and you'll miss it. He's got like really one scene at the TV station.
In profile.
Well, no, you get a full face on him.
But
And he's the producer of one of the interviews with Von Metz, but he definitely is in on everything. And he does talk to Grimmer at one point. And of course, everybody knows him from the Saw movies, really reinvigorated his career. And he was in The Firm as well with Tom Cruise. I mean, he was in everything in the 80s.
Oh, yeah. He was henching a long time, I think, too.
He was henching a long time. I mean, he was pretty much henchman number 5. Sometimes lead henchman. Henchman A.
Henchman A.
Henchman number 1.
Working his way up the ladder.
Yeah. And then Saw changed it, everything.
Oh, yeah. Then he was at the top. He didn't.
Then he was the evil genius, not a henchman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that was the whole thing. He was so sick and tired of just henching and not getting anywhere. So he just burst out on his own.
And that's a good career choice. You've been henching the whole time, but you know what? They can hench for you for a while.
Exactly.
And that's what Saw did. He had a lot of people henching for him, even after he died.
Yep. Created a legacy.
That's right. His character died in 3, but boy, they were henching hard for him.
Oh, well, he's one of those guys who's like, you know what? I came up through I know what it's like to be a henchman. Like, he knows how to take care of his henchmen.
So you get to be the boss this week, then you get to be the boss next week, and then you get to be the boss the week after that.
It's like, yeah, guys, I know it's a tough gig. But you know what? I'm going to take care of y'all.
All right. So, yes, we have international intrigue trying to find Hitler's porno. And, of course, we've got Gene Hackman. He's been given a new partner in Dan Aykroyd, who's got a very keen mind. Almost Sherlock Holmes-like. But
Yes.
I wanted to see more of.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was the other thing, too, is they establish it really early that he's like a genius.
Yeah.
And then he's an idiot.
Yeah,
The rest of the
especially
movie.
when he's like hunched over the body.
Yeah.
And when they get called down, that's where they first meet. And he's looking at the body, figuring out everything.
And he's vomiting everywhere also.
Yeah.
Which also leads me to a really interesting story that dates back right here into Calgary.
Ooh.
So there was a film canister or some film negatives found in a landfill here in Calgary.
Yeah.
And this guy found it and he took a close look at it the best he could, and it looked like somebody hunched over a crime scene. Like he thought, oh my God, this is a murder thing. This might be important.
Yeah.
And this was taken to the Calgary Police Department, who looked at it, and the guy who looked at it didn't recognize Dan Aykroyd, but the police sure did. And they got a hold of Dan Aykroyd's agent to find out what this was from, a film of some sort, and they go, oh yeah, that was from Loose Cannons. It probably should have been left in the landfill.
Oh, yeah.
That's where it belongs.
We know where the missing film is. It's in Calgary. In the landfill.
But interesting story that this movie dug up for Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah. That's funny. It sounds like the studios went, yeah, don't send it back. Just throw it out.
Probably,
put it back where you found it. But that must mean like parts of the movie were cut right here, or the film negative was processed at a lab here in Calgary, which is unusual because a lot of that Canadian stuff was shipped off to labs in Edmonton. But
exactly.
Yeah. That's a cool story.
Maybe Edmonton was like, we don't want our landfill.
Yeah.
It's that bad.
That's right. Yeah, find it with the ET cartridges from.
Yeah. Now, we keep talking about how bad it is. And you know what? I do have to say, as awkward as Aykroyd was, I did like the chemistry between him and Hackman when he was level.
Yeah.
And I think I have to give credit to Hackman for that, I think, just because he somehow elevated this film to a watchable level for me.
Yeah, when Dan Aykroyd was kind of showing his vulnerability and Hackman was like going, dude, just, you can do this. It's going to be okay. Like he just became a bit of a cheerleader after a bit. I kind of got this fatherly energy from him, which I think we could have dug into, but we didn't do that either.
Yeah, I mean, the character is rarely serious even when his life's falling apart. Like he's living out of his car because his apartment caught fire, even though we don't really see that.
Like everything else in this movie, like, it just happened. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. My apartment caught on fire.
His wife is gone. I don't think his apartment caught on fire. I believe that is a lie. I believe his wife kicked him out.
That's what I believe too. And we could have used that scene.
Yeah. He just uses the fire excuse.
Yeah. But, you know, he gets to take his cat onto assignment.
Yeah, which was fun.
But, I cast the cat.
Oh, I didn't. It's a cat.
It's a cat.
I know, but I know some cats, and I'd like to put them in this movie.
Okay. Look forward to that. The tension builds now. What cat are we going to get cast? Is it one of Trish's? I think it might be.
Ooh, you might be surprised.
All right. Garfield has a shot. Mm-hmm. It'd be fun with an animated cat.
It would be fun with an animated cat.
If we're going to go, this movie would have been so much more watchable if they would have just let reality fade away.
You know what I would have loved is if that whole cat joke had come back around. That somehow the cat is key to solving the problem.
Oh, I would have loved it. Because they didn't know anything about mental illness and they weren't doing anything, at some point Dan Aykroyd believes he can hear the cat talking to him.
Well, there could be that. I'm thinking that, guess what would be a perfect place to hide a reel of film? Inside a cat carrier.
Oh.
It's been with his cat all along.
Well, yeah,
all
but
along,
it can't be because that's the detective's cat.
Well, it gets there somehow. I mean, you have to come up with
maybe later.
Yes,
but maybe Steckler puts it there later.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know how you'd.
But when I said reality falls apart and animated cat and stuff, like the more I think about it, the more that's a kind of cool idea as we see the world perceived through the Dan Aykroyd character's eyes, like Ellis's eyes.
You can have it where like the Gene Hackman character turns into Sancho and he's like Pancho Villa, like he's believing he's going on an adventure. Like it would be interesting to see how he perceives him.
Yeah, driving his car and then it turns into a horse and he's running at windmills. And
well, then I have a new director if we're doing that.
Yeah, I might need to rejigger my whole thing.
Yeah, I mean,
actually, mine would still work.
I mean, mine would probably still work, but I mean, if you're going to do something like that, you need a backsheet. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You need a backsheet to do it.
But what would be great is like the key to some of his genius is because he can imagine certain things. He can imagine, like when he's going through that first crime scene, he views it like a movie, like you perceive what he's thinking.
And I made that observation because we've seen that through a detective's eyes in other things. Like they did it so well with Hannibal and Sherlock, where he's putting A, B, C, and D together and where he's literally walking through the whole thing in his mind. And we're seeing all that. Yeah. And it was kind of neat to see that from the outside, from somebody else's viewpoint.
Yes.
And we're still seeing it, but he just looks nuts.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And I kind of dug that. Even though they hadn't done that in 1990.
No.
But having all that stuff we've seen after the fact and then going back to see this, that scene works so much better.
It would work a lot better, yeah.
And I kind of appreciated how that actually wound up being a much cooler scene that it probably was ever intended to be.
Yes. Maybe you need to start it off in a very grounded place, and then you can take the wheels off.
Oh, yeah. I think as it gets crazier, then that's an artistic choice. You don't want to start off that way. And the audience has to be somewhat aware, or at least catch on, that when we have these crazy breaks in reality, we're literally seeing the world through Dan Aykroyd's eyes.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm on board with this.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm on board with this. Yeah, I mean, you could have it something really subtle, that first crime scene, where it's like just like a little bird that sort of goes through the screen, I think flies across the screen or something like that, right?
Yeah, I think how he perceives reality will depend on the personality he's in.
Yes.
And how stressed he gets.
And maybe that the bird and the peaceful stuff, that is what he learned to be at the monastery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a Disney world.
But the bird's taken away. Oh, or here's the one thing, as you're talking about the fantasy and reality.
And have him look at this gory body and then these animated Disney birds are tweeting around.
But he becomes the detective from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Like, that's who he thinks he is. Because then you can put those cartoon elements in and it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying we have to stick with a cartoon,
No.
but how he perceives the
like
world
that.
should be based on his personalities.
Or you can have it like doing the anime thing and imagining the dead body with the anime character sort of calms him, like he's freaking out, but he's like, no, I can do this.
I mean, considering it's an Alice
a coping mechanism.
Yeah, considering he's saying all these crazy things about Alice in Wonderland and the Jack of Hearts was trying to get over the fence and all this stuff, that could be really interesting if he's reenacting that literally with the Disney cartoon.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. I doubt Disney would ever allow that to happen.
But what would be funny
Well, it is a Touchstone film, so
that's true.
They might.
What would be funny? Sorry, I just keep pitching ideas, but there's this one. I just imagine him as like a Disney princess, the detective Disney princess. Well, from what I see is the boat came and it flew through the air and it went through these things. Oh no, he lost his head.
Off with his head. Like when he sees somebody getting shot, it's like, spray of leaves.
like in Suicide Squad where Harley and she's walking through and it's all flowers as it gets more and more crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Like something like that. I could totally see this character doing that.
Yeah.
Right? Now that we're like thinking about it, and I like your idea where the visions or the way we see it changes as he changes characters or personalities.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
You can have a dark one where kind of almost Deckard from Blade Runner is like, what's the word? I'm like anarchistic or just like nihilistic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you probably with his trauma, he's going to have one nihilistic personality.
Yeah, I'd say one that's the one that protects him, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that keeps him alive.
Yeah, and I'd like to see that more instead of him always sort of in peril, right? Like especially that end scene there, like that's where you really see that character, right?
Yeah.
Where he's finally come out of his shell and he's like, "I lied, I have a gun," or whatever it was he said, right? That's where you get to really see that personality, but you need to get peeks of it throughout the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
When things get really tough, you see this character pop up just a little bit.
And also, honestly, having his partner be like a little scared. He's like, oh, that's a dark, ooh. Let's not wake that one too much.
Yeah. And probably his safe one would be a younger personality.
Yes.
Before the world's turned dark for him.
Yeah.
He's a genius, but he's a fragile mind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was his interactions on a case with some bad guys that caught him and tortured him that cracked all these walls in his brain. And I'm fine with that. Like that backstory is a good backstory.
It's a backstory.
And to watch the other person interact with him, I mean, honestly, when you have the child personality, you could have them going like, oh, okay, so we're going in protective mode now. It's like, it's okay, little guy. You're going to be okay.
And that's how we have to have our Gene Hackman character, MacArthur, interacting with these personalities. Initially, he's got no patience for it, and we still have that. You stuck me with a lunatic. But he sees the genius, and he has to nurture these personalities through to get to Dan Aykroyd and
we
never
talk about the damaged personality that MacArthur is, right?
Sure.
Because, I mean, he cannot maintain relationships. Like, that was established right at the beginning, that nobody in downtown will work with him. His wife has kicked him out. Right? These are all things that you need to see.
Yeah.
Because he can't manage a relationship, and we have a character who has so much empathy that he can't deal with relationships.
Yeah.
When you bring those two personalities together, you have kind of this perfect storm.
Yeah, I kept thinking, like, as a normal comedy would work, like, there's usually these characters help each other through their traumas and they come out better people at the end. There's no arc for either one of them, really. There is a little bit with Dan Aykroyd and the relationship that they have with each other, as we do see MacArthur become more nurturing to Ellis. But overall, they don't change much.
It's teeny, teeny, tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and MacArthur doesn't change at all. He just, aside from the fact that he opens up to Aykroyd's character.
Yeah. Right. And I mean, Dom DeLuise could have been that middle character. Here's this sleazeball of a character.
Getz.
Yeah, he is Leo Getz. But he's got a heart of gold despite being this really sleazeball character.
Yeah.
And he's the one who just says it straight, right? Like, he's the one that should be pushing MacArthur into solving this problem with his partner as well.
Hey, too, Harry. Since when did you get so civic-minded?
I know you think I'm a sleazebag, right? Maybe I am. Maybe I am a sleazebag. Maybe all my life I've been a sleazebag. Somebody had to be the sleazebag. If if it hadn't been me, maybe it would have been you. So maybe you should thank me. Did you ever think of that?
I never thought about it like that. But now that you put it that way, thanks a lot for being a sleazebag for me.
It's my pleasure. Anyway, I say nailed his fun Mets because, I mean, he is a real sleazebag. You know what I mean?
This is the major thrust of what your story should have been. It's just a lot of, here's Grimmer again. Now we have to run and shoot.
I want more investigating from these two.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Instead of less running, more thinking.
Yes.
That was, I think, my biggest beef was that there was a lot of running, no explanation for anything in terms of how the Grimmer was finding them, who all these other characters were. We have a Mossad agent with no explanation.
Yeah. Why is she there? Like, I kept thinking she was going to hook up with MacArthur, and nope.
No, and they say that, like, Dan Aykroyd told her where they were going.
Yeah.
That was a thing.
There's no real building of trust and relationships there. MacArthur throws that film out the window in the climactic scene, which was with Grimmer, and there she is to collect it.
Yeah. She just happens to be there.
Because
everybody can find them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody can find them.
Yes. Like, I don't get it. Yeah, I mean, if you have moles within the FBI, start showing us these moments where he's interacting with Grimmer or Von Metz or something.
And the other thing, too, is MacArthur and Aykroyd's character never tell anybody what they're doing.
No.
Like, nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah,
except for that one time where he tells Nancy Travis's character.
Yeah.
Right? Aside from that, it's like they're just running. It's like, oh, we're at a train station. Let's take a train. Right?
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason. There's no communication to their captain.
And now we're in the woods, and then we're going to leave. And, I mean, there were choppers, but now there's not. How did they find us again?
Yeah.
At the end of it all, what's really funny is Grimmer doesn't need them. He goes to Grand Central. He kind of automatically knows where to go.
Yeah. I mean, the FBI guys could have just arrested Nancy Travis for being on foreign soil as a spy. Like, if she didn't go through proper channels with this investigation, then she's basically in the country illegally. I can't really fathom a purpose for her, to be honest.
No, I can't fathom a purpose for her or the FBI or CIA.
I can think of things to do with her, but I still don't understand.
It feels shoehorned.
Yeah, I don't understand the point of her.
Yeah. Because she's the pretty girl that you need in every film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now,
I cast her because, well...
I didn't know what we were doing, so I did too.
If we had, say, the body of Steckler, they keep mentioning Steckler knew where this was, and now we're hunting for a film or something, whatever this MacGuffin is, that reveals our politician is a bad guy. I'm not even sure if we can get away with World War II and Hitler anymore.
Oh, no, it's too far out.
Unless we put it into an 80s setting again.
Oh, I had it as neo-Nazis and a presidential candidate, because, I mean, that's just realistic.
Yeah, sure. See, now what we could do with Nancy Travis doesn't have to be a foreign power at all.
No.
She was the wife of Steckler, or the daughter of Steckler, somebody who knew Steckler and could help find this thing, this proof, this MacGuffin.
Of a corrupt
Then she's
person.
got a purpose in why the detectives have to protect her and keep her with them, because she's the only lead they've got.
And then she gets to be in the movie for more than 30 seconds at a time.
Right. And
Yes.
then we could do all those things we just talked about, where maybe she does get a little closer, because we have a broken cop with MacArthur who needs to maybe move on with his life. He's stuck. Like, his life is deteriorating, even though he's a wise ass.
Well, because he can't maintain a relationship.
Yeah. So this is an opportunity to change that.
Yeah. Yeah, because he has his own wall.
I mean, this might sound cliche. We've seen movies do this before. This is what this movie should have done, because it was in an era of cliches.
Yes.
Absolutely. And you could have it too, where, I mean, part of his problem with maintaining relationships is he doesn't really acknowledge the other person's needs and wants, like their personality.
Well,
so now he's all of a sudden put in the deep end with many personalities.
Exactly. Yeah. And they established that in the first time they're in the car together.
Yeah.
They actually did a really good job of that. Where he's like, well, do you want me to go slower? Do you want to go faster? They're arguing about the driving.
Yeah. No, there's good scenes between Aykroyd and Hackman. Absolutely.
Yeah, The Howling at the Moon, it's kind of heartwarming.
Yep.
This film is not the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, the chemistry between Aykroyd and Hackman was surprisingly good.
There just wasn't enough people building, like character building.
There wasn't any.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Like, they were, I won't even want to say they were, you actually said it, personalities. You've got the stereotypical outlier cop.
Tough cop. Can't work with anybody.
Tough hero cop.
yeah.
And the only reason they put up with him is he's good at his job.
Yeah. Then you have the one who's very emotionally and mentally fragile that they've brought back from like being suspended or whatever.
And that's
Turned up to 11.
Yeah. And that's really his only character. So every time there's violence, he becomes a cartoon character or starts doing movie quotes or just jumping around like a lunatic.
Yeah, and then you have the henchman who's like, kill, kill, kill. He's a Terminator, essentially. Yeah. He can always find them and tries killing them.
Yeah. You have this villain, this henchman villain, and I talked about it a couple times already. How the fuck do they find them every time?
Yeah.
Right? You need to see more of that sort of behind-the-scenes organization.
Yeah, you need to see Grimmer getting tipped off on the investigation. And that's where Smiley shouldn't be FBI. Or he's embedded in the police department.
Yeah. He can be national defense or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, he's on the wrong side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still like the CIA angle because it seems like, oh yeah, if we can get this guy in power, then we can do some weird shit and get our funding and...
Yeah, and maybe Grimmer's got some legit credentials.
Oh yeah, he's special forces or something like that.
Yeah. Whether that, depending on what country he's from, right? I mean, if we stick with Germany or it's domestic or whatever, but yeah, he's definitely got training, and he's so ruthless in this movie. Like he opens fire on a train full of innocent people.
Yeah. So does the freaking FBI agent in the street on people he's not like on his detectives. That should have been the end of him. Like he was firing on police detective.
Oh, these are bad people.
That made no sense because he was not outed as a bad guy at that point. He was trying to take control of the investigation. So him chasing after Hackman and Aykroyd and shooting at them made no sense.
None whatsoever.
No, and then there's lots of car accidents where there's a lot of collateral damage.
There's a lot of collateral damage. Yeah, right. I mean, even the opening scene where Grimmer's firing at our Alice in Wonderland team, right, is like brutal.
Yeah.
Why is he like this? Why is he so willing to potentially expose himself by behaving like this?
He's somehow protected. That's the thing.
Like, you have to establish that, yeah.
A guy who does all of this crap, but he's somehow protected by somebody in power.
Like you said, presidential candidate.
Yep.
You know, he's protected on
or a sitting president.
Yeah, who's done some pretty sketchy crap and they know about it.
Yeah.
Huh. That's not relevant.
We can
do it. Why
do
do you think I went there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that plays well.
Right, and then that at least explains his willingness to take things to such an extreme.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and I don't know if we're going to have him go that extreme in our remake, but certainly if we do, that makes sense then.
Yeah, and that would force our Hackman and Aykroyd characters to play outside of the rules because somewhere along the way they know nobody can be trusted.
I mean, it's tropey, but it works, right? And then you have Smiley who's walking that line of keeping Grimmer under control, but still doing the job that he's supposed to be doing, which is protecting the president.
Yeah. Then he'd be Secret Service.
Yeah.
I want the captain to kind of pop up here and there because it is his nephew.
Yeah.
And he's the one person they kind of can trust because he doesn't want anything to happen to his nephew. He loves him.
If they do meets, they have to be like outside of the station.
Yeah. Where the captain got a burner phone from evidence. That would be fun. He's like, what are you calling us on? Oh, I got a burner phone from evidence. This is fine. It's like, look, you guys are in trouble. I'm going to go a little bit outside the lines.
Well, should we got a little deeper on my casting though? I didn't go very far with that, but casting the captains.
I didn't do the captain. I didn't get that far deep into it either.
Because I love that guy.
I'm liking where this is going. Where this is going.
Yeah, I mean,
there's depth to it.
We're kind of all over the place, but we haven't fixed the structure so much. But we've definitely given the characters more depth.
Well, we kind of know what's going to be going on in between. We now know what our characters, their goal is still to find this MacGuffin.
Yeah,
that proves this.
Like a thumb drive nowadays.
It would be a thumb drive, right?
Yeah. And we can still have a weird lie around what it is. Like, it's the PP tape.
Yeah.
Yes,
and you know what?
it.
You could have it set it up so that even our DeLuise character, our porn king, doesn't really know what's on the drive. He was told that it is.
Yeah.
Right? They were actually coming back from the party to watch it when they got ambushed.
Yeah.
Right. So he doesn't know what's on it. But
they think he does.
Well, he tells them what he was told was on it.
Yeah.
Right. So he's just perpetuating this myth so that when it all comes out, what it actually is, whatever it actually ends up being.
Yeah.
It's a surprise to him too.
Yeah. Doesn't really matter. This guy's doing something really, really bad.
Oh yeah, he's sketchy. But he's trying to get back in office, and it's like, well, we can't keep doing this stuff, and it's these people.
Yeah, it goes from being a Monica Lewinsky thing to being like a murder thing, right? Where the president was a military general or something like that, and did some horrible things in another country, kind of murder thing.
Yeah,
or the president did something terrible in domestic.
Yeah, you don't even have to take it to the news because you can't trust any of those guys anymore.
No,
you could just release it.
Yeah. That's the beauty of a modern thing, is it could just be released, which is why it's so important to get it back before it ever hits the internet.
Yeah. That thumb drive touches a computer, they're hosed.
Yeah, and they also, part of getting it back, it could be like just like a password protected thumb drive.
Yeah.
And there's another layer where, the daughter comes in and there's a clue that she doesn't even know she has.
Yeah. That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Keeps her important.
Makes her important. Keeps her. She was never important.
No, not in the original movie, no.
But in this one,
in our movie, she's got substance. We've given her stuff to do. I mean, I don't want to change Hackman's character too much.
Oh, I didn't.
Like, I think all of that kind of works, and we just need to use it. That was their problem.
And take advantage of the things they set up and never knocked down. Yeah. Like they say, nobody wants to work with you. His wife kicked him out. Nobody will take him in.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody likes him, but doesn't like him enough.
Yeah.
He's one of those people, who's so, because he's always very, like, these are the lines, this is what happens. Like, he's probably just hard to deal with. And the thing is like, oh, you should do this like this or like this. Like, he's just very terrible to try and just deal with.
It's just he doesn't listen to anybody else is his problem, right? Yeah. That's the big thing, is he doesn't listen to anybody else.
Now, with the Aykroyd character, with Ellis, we've defined a couple of personalities. A childlike one where he feels safe, his present one.
And his nihilist.
And the nihilistic one.
Then you have your genius one. The genius one is a personality.
Oh, yes. And you can actually, that would work with the animation thing. Like, he's just a little dotty, like, those nutty professor kind of woohoo, like they do in some movies where the genius is a little kind of, he's on a different level. He's in a different universe.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it's really important to do the film nods, at least through dialogue, if at all, because I don't know about you, they were more annoying than charming.
They were more annoying than charming, and they were a really inaccurate presentation of a multiple personality. So I'm fine with ditching the movie references entirely.
Yes. Yeah, right? Oh, yeah, those have to go.
We can acknowledge them through the way he sees the world.
Yeah, that's how I thought, like little more subtleties where he sees the world, and we can tie that back to film characters or a specific
you know what?
He
can see himself as a Clint Eastwood type when he's a nihilist, right?
Yes.
Like the man with no name.
Starts squinting his eyes.
That's a way more subtle nod to film, and it also explains the character really well too.
Yeah, you're gonna have like the Hackman going, "Why are you squinting like that? You're scaring me."
Because it's sort of sometimes with the personalities, what you're going to get, and I mean, like what they do with Split and things, is you get a caricature of what they think this thing is.
Yeah.
So he would be doing caricatures of what he thinks this personality would be.
Yeah.
Then that would be a great place to drop a line. Do you feel lucky, punk? Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Like that.
How can you even see when you're squinting like that?
Yeah.
Yes. He's like, I can see the person I'm going to put on his fucking ass.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You can do like a Clint Eastwood type line delivery without.
That's right.
Yeah,
exactly. A type line.
Yeah.
I can see just fine. I'm laser focused on the corpse that's going to happen.
Yeah. Exactly.
I see whatever the fuck is in my way, and then I move it.
But I think we have our four personalities. We have the childlike personality, his normal personality, his defender nihilist personality, and then you have his genius personality.
Yeah, and his genius personality has always been part of who he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more like almost like an extension of his regular personality, but because he's split,
I think he's very
separate.
he'll have like a very smart genius. He's able to see it. Like he's like, this happened here, and then like when he sees kind of the horrifying bits, that's when he sort of slips into the genius one where he's kind of detached about it.
Yeah. You know,
because it's protective.
Our final scene, here's a thought. We have the Hackman character, MacArthur, doing the final showdown with Grimmer over this thing. And he's losing. Like, MacArthur's pinned down. Maybe he's been shot. And he yells out to Ellis, dude, it's time to bring in the cavalry. Everybody needs to be here.
Yeah.
And he has to bring in all those personalities in concert to become one person.
Yes.
To come to the rescue.
And then you can kind of have the visual of the genius is like going, if you come from here, this will happen, this will happen. And the nihilist is like, let's just take him. Oh, I've got this. We can beat him to death with that.
You will get shot if you do it your way. Yeah. So they all have to, these personalities need to have a conversation with each other. And the best approach of what this is going to be, how to keep Ellis safe, how to keep MacArthur safe, how to keep anybody else who happens to be on the scene
how to
safe,
deal with his own fear,
like
because the child's going to be there, right? So they're going to have to calm down the child.
Yeah, we need to protect little Ellis, you know?
Yeah.
And visually what you can do, and this is, you don't have to do it, but I think it's always kind of interesting. You can have the slowed down action of what's happening with Mac and Grimmer, because like, you know, sometimes when you're under stress and your mind just starts running faster than anything else, which would be what it is. And they say when adrenaline hits, everything slows down because your brain is actively going faster.
Yeah, these are happening in seconds. Like we could...
microseconds.
Yeah, we can have all these personalities conversing and we can literally see the background
is slow-mo.
Is just, exactly. Yeah. Slow-mo, bullet time, whatever.
And they're standing there talking to each other. I think that'd be a great visual.
It would be amazing visual.
And then it brings it right back to the painting at the beginning.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Fuck yes. I'm so smart I didn't even realize what was happening. Nice tie back.
Jay and I share a brain.
We do. We have half a brain each and we're just morons when we're apart.
My wife will attest to that.
No, you're not morons apart. We're stronger together, guys. We're the we're the
just
personalities.
Like
we're the many personalities sitting here.
I suddenly like our movie. I like it a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. Basic story of them being on the run is fine as long as they get to do a little bit of investigating on the way.
Yes.
We get to see more of the other side tracking them down, not just showing up.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, the MacGuffin and the bad guy, there's not enough there. You can certainly seed all this stuff in the script and make it a little more robust. Yeah. But at the end of the day...
it's an adventure.
A lot of the more successful things like action comedies like Lethal Weapon and Beverly Hills Cop is because we get to see these personalities be vulnerable and be people as well as being the characters we enjoy.
And actually develop their relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't just poof happen.
And again, like you say, put in investigating. Yeah. While they're investigating, it feels like you're going on a journey with them.
Yeah, and we've actually just explained how they can always find them. He has access to like top-end governmental resources, spy satellites,
for sure.
all that shit. He has it all.
Yeah.
Pure and simple, but we need to show him accessing it.
Yeah, and that's how we use Smiley.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's got all of that access.
And again, we've now given a character who had no purpose.
Yeah. And we don't have to do it, but I would honestly love to see Grimmer double-cross Smiley and kill him before the end of the movie.
Yes.
Could be, yeah.
Well, because Smiley's trying to rein him in and Grimmer's having none of it. Because Grimmer is a psychopath.
Oh, yeah. His goal is the only goal.
Yeah. And Smiley's just after protecting the president. He knows he's wrong, but he has a job to do. I don't want Smiley to be a bad guy. I want to be a misguided guy.
Yeah. He's doing what Secret Service does, is protecting the president.
Yeah. Even though he knows that this president isn't really worth protecting. And we could even have him say that at some point, maybe right before his death. He says, I can't believe I've been protecting this asshole.
What's Grimmer's motive outside of enjoying his job? Like, does he have a particular connection to...
He gets paid a fuck of a lot.
Okay.
It's pure and simple.
Pure and simple.
It's greed.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets paid a lot, and honestly, he's a psychopath. He kind of enjoys killing people, and he can do this and
if
get
Smiley
paid.
gets in his way, that's easy.
Yeah. To him, it's kind of a vocation. He enjoys killing people.
Yeah, he's a sociopath.
Yeah.
Pure and simple. Yeah, he's a sociopath, and he's found a way to make that work for him.
And we can have our cops find Smiley's body. They're like, well, you know how they kept finding us? This guy.
Yeah. You know what? They find Smiley before he dies, and he tells them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We can give this guy a redemption moment.
Yeah. It's true.
You guys got to find it because everything's going to go to hell if Grimmer gets it.
Yeah. Okay, well, damn. I think we're on to some casting here. Well, some of mine doesn't work now, but because we always do this before we start.
Yes.
And we don't consult with each other. But I didn't know what I was going for at that point.
That's the thing. I always kind of cast to what the original movie had, and maybe it'll work, maybe it doesn't work. But I mean, it gels in the room.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, mine does mostly work. Yeah, mine actually still does work.
Cool.
Nice.
Well, if yours still works, you're going to take the tail today.
Okay.
All right. So I'll start off. Trish will take the middle.
Sounds good.
All right. You know what? For my MacArthur, I still wanted a cop that looked like his life was falling apart. This guy does it very, very well. Christopher Maloney from Happy.
Yes.
Nice.
And he's good at comedy. He's a very
is.
funny guy.
I like how he delivers a line. And for Ellis, I think it should still be somebody who has some comedy chops, who can slip into personalities really well. And we've seen him play lots of stuff, and I may overuse him sometimes, but damn it, Alan Tudyk would
Yes.
kill it.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah. Firefly, if you don't recognize the name.
Or Dodgeball.
Yeah.
Or Resident Alien.
Yes.
Very good show. For Gutterman, I'm not happy with this choice, but Jack Black...
I thought about him.
And mainly because I want, like, the Jack Black we started liking, not the Jack Black we have now.
High
That's
fidelity
really
Jack Black.
Yes.
Yeah, I want that Jack Black. Like, if he can pull that Jack Black back out, that's who I want to play Gutterman.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. I think he can still do it. You just have to coax it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I'm
You
hoping
don't have to
for.
coax it out. You have to rein him back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah. Rein him in a little bit. For Smiley, our FBI agent, I went with Stanley Tucci.
Nice.
For Riva, I wasn't sure if we're going to keep her a foreign agent at this point, which we pretty much taken away now. But I initially was going to do Diane Kruger, but now I think she might be a little older than we want her to be. But I like her anyway. National treasure. She would have had that accent. If we kept her the way it was, age wouldn't have been an issue. But now that we've done the daughter thing, unless we've make...
well, you can just change it to a sister or wife or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You need to make the casting work.
Yeah. For Von Metz, I had Anthony Hopkins. I don't think that works anymore. No.
Yeah, my Von Metz is the one character that doesn't carry over very
My
well.
Von Metz might work because I did have it being current.
Yeah, I was still thinking Nazi ties, so I needed somebody old enough to pull that off.
You're going to like my Von
Oh, see, I went
Von Metz.
neo-Nazis.
Yeah.
I went
So that's not going to work anymore. Boy, Von Metz. I guess it doesn't even have to be foreign.
I didn't even
If he's
change.
going to be the president and stuff.
If he was
wouldn't
still
have
acting,
him
I'd
as
just say
Von
Gene
Metz.
Hackman. But
He's long retired.
Yeah.
It's been almost 20 years since his last role. But he is still with us. And Grimmer was the last person I actually cast, and I went with Christoph Waltz.
I almost went there.
Because still thinking Nazis in Germany.
Well,
and
I
stuff.
almost went with Christoph Waltz for Von Metz.
Yeah.
Just for shits and giggles.
Yeah. All right, well, let's hear... Oh, I actually got my director here as well. I went with Tommy Wirkola. He directed Dead Snow and Violent Night, among others.
I love Dead Snow.
And I think he probably would put the suitable amount of crazy in this movie that we are asking of.
It's
if anything, you might like this a little bit more.
Yeah, you might have to have the director reined in just a shade.
Now I'm actually thinking of a different director. now.
my director actually works really well now that I'm looking at it.
Trish, what you got?
Okay, I went a weird way because I was thinking and she's done it before. For Mac, I just changed it to Mac, and I went with Melissa McCarthy because she's kind of done the grizzled old cop in The Heat.
Okay.
And I'm like, I just think that was fun. For Ellis, I went with Justin Cunningham. He's a black actor. He's in Grand Crew, and he's very funny, but he's very straight-laced in Grand Crew, so I'd like to let him loose in this, and he's been in quite a few things I like. For Gutterman, I went with Brian Baumgartner. He is Kevin from The Office.
Okay.
You'd know him.
Yeah,
Look up Kevin Office Meme Chili. You'll know who I mean.
Okay.
You've seen her. He's a guy you've seen in that thing.
Literally never seen an episode of The Office.
Yeah,
For
but
Smiley,
you will recognize him.
Smiley, I went with Walton Goggins.
Oh.
He can do that kind of skeevy but fun. I like him. Riva, I went with Alona Tal. She used to be on Burn Notice. She's an Israeli actress because I didn't know if we were still going that route.
Okay.
Von Metz, because I upgraded to somebody American who is running for office, I went with Chris Evans, which is like an Aryan's wet dream.
Yes, it really is.
Because I was still going neo-Nazi, and I'm like, yeah, that'll work. And he can do evil pretty well.
Okay.
I like him. Grimmer, Kevin Durant, Canadian actor, big guy.
I know exactly who that is. Yep.
And for the captain, I went with Keith David because I had Justin Cunningham as a thing. And I'm like, when in doubt, cast Keith David. That's what I go with.
I can support Keith David.
Yes.
And my director was Kathy Yan, who directed Birds of Prey.
Okay.
So now that you mentioned like the flowers and Harley Quinn, I'm like, oh my God, that just came.
Yeah, that wasn't her though.
All right. Is it me?
It is you.
Okay. I'll start with my MacArthur. I went with Gerard Butler, another guy who does falling apart really well.
And I feel like maybe this is kind of his level of film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. My Ellis Fielding, I went with somebody I know can do personalities. So I went with Jay Farrow.
Yes.
I think that he'd have a lot of
That
fun
would be
with this.
fun.
And I think this would be an opportunity for him to break out into film.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
For my Gutterman, I went with Josh Gad because I was thinking Jack Black. I'm like, who is like old Jack Black, who's still still a little bit young. He's a little bit young for the role, but I think that's fine.
That's brilliant. It does work.
I like it. Yeah. I don't think there has to be an age thing for Gutterman.
No. And honestly, with some of these younger actors, I think you can age Josh Gad up and down. He's got that face, right?
Yeah, exactly. For my Smiley, I went with Bobby Cannavale.
Yes. He plays a good bad, like the FBI in Mr. Robot.
Yes. Well, he plays a good guy sort of walking the line.
Yeah.
Right. So he works even better now that I think about it because he's really good at pushing back too. For my Von Metz, because I was thinking Germany, I went with Udo Kier.
I love him.
Who doesn't? But yeah, he doesn't work now, unfortunately, because there's no way he could pull off an American accent.
But this is dream casting.
He's pretty old now too.
Yeah, he is. He would have been perfect for playing like an old German chancellor, though.
Sure.
For my Grimmer, I went with Daniel Bruhl.
I almost did that too.
Because we all kind of were thinking on the German, and we like to cast to type, right? We like to use German actors when the characters are German, right? Which leads into my Reva/Rebecca. I also went with Israeli. I went with Gal Gadot.
Right.
I did, but I was like, is she too big to put in this?
That was my first thought too. I'm like, I can't.
I know
use
it's
her.
dream casting, but for some reason I couldn't do it.
You know what? I had the same dilemma. I'm like, but you know what? If we leave her the way she is, she was in it for 15 seconds, she'd do it for the cameo.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, if it was a day gig.
And then for my director, I went with David Leitch, director of Bullet Train and Nobody.
Nice. I love both those movies. They're ape shit. I
exactly.
adore those movies so much.
And they'd be perfect for what we just did.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he totally works.
Yeah, so that's my cast.
Yeah, I like an off the chain, just batshit crazy action movie.
And if you think about Bullet Train, it's a whole bunch of nonsensical moments tied together.
Yeah.
And somehow it still gives you a complete story.
Yeah.
That's what we've done.
Yeah. Oh, what's his name? Madonna's ex-husband.
Oh, Guy Ritchie.
Yeah. Guy Ritchie would probably be good for this too.
Yeah, he would be probably good for this too. Although he occasionally takes himself a little too seriously. Although his new one on Prime is actually pretty batshit.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
Which one is it?
I can't remember the name of it. I mean, as soon as you add Aubrey Plaza to anything,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
it's going to go a little off the rails.
Honestly, I might even make her my Riva if I could. If we're going American now. She'd be a good.
Yeah.
She would be, yeah.
This movie's got a 4.9 out of 10 on IMDb. What do you think happened on Rotten Tomatoes?
There were enough reviews for critic score?
There were this time. I did double check last week, by the way. I was right, even though I totally forgot to do it. There were not enough scores. There were for audiences, but not critics.
Yeah, not surprising.
They were TV movies after all.
Yeah. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go with 38%. I'm going to.
Okay.
I was going to go 37.
We'll go with it.
Okay. So 38, 37 for critics. What do you think about audiences? I'm going to reveal all at the end.
I think audiences were going to be a little more generous because Hackman was so good and the chemistry between him and Aykroyd is so good. I'm going to go with a generous 43%.
43%.
Damn it. And I did think of this before you said 43, 42.
Okay.
Jeez. We totally Price is Right it.
Yeah. I didn't mean to. I was just, these are the numbers I kind of thought.
Okay. Audiences gave it a 27%.
Shit.
Yeah. Critics was 0. 0. I think this might be our first 0.
I didn't think that they could do that.
They can do zeros. There are zeros on
No,
Rotten.
but I mean, like, have all the critics be 0. Like, Shouldn't they have one as a default?
Yeah. 0% on Rotten Tomatoes from critics.
You know,
we've seen worse than this that
Much
had
worse.
higher ratings.
Yeah, we have seen worse than this. And I mean, you have to give it points just for that chemistry and the singular performance in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even in a shit movie, Gene Hackman
he showed up.
He showed up. And he's so watchable. Yeah. I mean, if you don't like Gene Hackman, then there's nothing for you.
No.
No. Well, I kind of enjoyed seeing this Gene Hackman because when he was trying to comfort Ellis, it was a kinder, gentler Gene Hackman that I want to see more often.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of helped me through this movie. I'm like, I like this one. This Gene Hackman.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed Hackman all the way through this movie.
Yeah, even though the writing was flat, I still don't know what happened here.
No.
Richard Matheson,
you had
Bob
like
Clark.
this dream team. All the way across the board, you had a dream team.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up with whatever this was. This should have been something Alan Smithy was on.
You know what? Here's the thing. Like, I mean, you hear stuff about Dan Aykroyd, and at this time, he's probably still got a lot of pull. So there was probably some times they weren't able to say no to him. And I think some of it, like especially the stuff he was doing with the Roadrunner and all that other crap. Like, I'm sorry, it seems very Aykroydian to me.
Well, when you hire Aykroyd, you know what you're, especially 90s Aykroyd, you knew what you were getting.
Yeah. Not sure if I believe the budget on this one. IMDb sometimes lies about that sort of thing, but $15 million according to IMDb.
Really?
Had an opening weekend of $2.2 million and went on to gross $5.5 million. That is a lot of money to lose.
That is
A
bad.
lot of money to lose. I'm willing to bet a large chunk of that $15 million, assuming that's correct, probably went to salaries.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing so.
Because you had two.
Hackman wouldn't have come cheap.
And neither would have Aykroyd at that time, 1988.
Yeah. Especially considering that Hackman and Aykroyd were what sold this shit script.
Yeah.
exactly.
Hell, I'm not even sure Matheson would have been cheap.
No, not at that point in his career.
Yeah.
Or Clark, for that matter. I mean, like I said, you had a dream team.
Yeah.
There's incredibly capable people all the way across the board.
It's like, you know how you can have top shelf liquor? If you put the top shelf tequila with the top shelf vodka and the top shelf liqueur and all, it's all individually, they're all good. But if you mix them together, it's garbage. Like they made a drink of all the top shelf liquor and you're like, oh, I'm going to vomit. It's not good.
Well, I mean, it wasn't the right venue for Aykroyd or DeLuise for that matter. Great actors, each in their own right. But like I said at the beginning of the podcast, they were all in different movies.
Yeah.
And I think that was the problem, is nobody knew how to rein these personalities in.
Everybody wanted their moment.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I mean, Hackman, you know, even back then, he had a reputation for being cantankerous.
Yes.
Right. So for him to give that performance dealing with personalities like DeLuise and Aykroyd, who are the exact opposite of cantankerous, right?
Yeah.
They're like, let's have some fun with this fucker. Right? That's who these guys are. Right?
They kind of are, but they're also very kind of bullish when they're like, well, I'm going to do it this way.
Well, yeah, because they were stars.
Yeah.
I mean, Dom DeLuise.
Unreignable.
Yeah, well, he worked with.
Oh, he worked with Burt Reynolds.
Exactly.
So,
he worked with Burt Reynolds. I mean,
I'm sure Dom was probably the go-to between. Hackman,
if anybody was the peacemaker at this point, it was DeLuise.
That's probably why he's in the whole movie.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's like, we need you as a buffer, Dom.
He knows
not
how
because
to
you're
work.
big, not because you're big, but because you're good at it.
He knows how to work with big, boisterous personalities.
Yeah.
And big egos.
Big egos.
Yeah, he probably had a smaller part, and they're like going, okay, well, we can't work with either of these people, but if we have DeLuise throughout the whole thing, we might be having a movie here.
Yeah, I have to say that might be a possibility.
Because he's not doing much. He's just baggage.
Yeah, he is baggage the whole way through the film.
But so is Leo Gatz.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need comic relief, but I'm not even sure Dom did that. Like I said, he was vomiting his lines he was speed racing through the script. I don't know if he's used to having that kind of amount of dialogue.
Well, to be fair, like at the end with the kids, I kind of get it. But that one time when he's like trying to sleep and they're both howling and he's like, oh God, there's two of them. That felt to me the most real line of the movie. And I'm not sure it was his character.
I mean, Hackman drops some really good lines, just little subtlety jabs that you thought about them. They were thinkers.
Yeah. Oh, that whole opening scene was fucking hilarious.
Yes.
Like the way he jabs low.
Yeah. But subtly, it's like you don't even know you've been stuck until it's too late.
Yeah, it'd be like 3 days later, like, that son of a bitch. He was making fun of me.
Yeah. Yeah, they're slow burners. Oh,
they are.
But it just reminded me, I told you that I cast Camus the cat. It's my friend Sarah's little baby Luna.
Oh,
a cute little tiny cat.
Yours.
Wasn't even mine.
Did they even get auditions, your cats?
They did. Minerva was a bit too calm. She was fine with everything. And Baggy just took off. We couldn't find him for the audition.
Oh, of course, yeah.
He's very camera shy.
I thought he was just being a diva.
Yeah. No, he's very camera shy.
Yeah.
He's very Sean Penn in the 80s.
Yeah, thank you for your audition. We'll have our people call you. Don't call us.
Yeah.
No, we don't need another read. That's fine. Thank you.
No,
we have enough. Yeah, we have enough. We've seen enough. Thank you.
Yeah. But yes, back to the cat. I think the idea of having the cat more present, because it is his only long-lasting working relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you just go back to cat?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's weird. Like the cat, he gives it to the other lady to take care of. But I mean, it really would have been a nice bonding moment where he has the cat with Ellis and Ellis lets him stay even though he has a cat. That would be kind of interesting. Maybe because the other thing too, some of the personalities in some places, like you've heard one personality is diabetic, another isn't. So maybe one of his personalities, the Ellis one, is allergic to cats, but his other personalities aren't.
Yeah, I wish that would, because he did say as Ellis, like he was allergic to cats, but that would be a great little moment if one of his other personalities was stroking it.
Yeah, not allergic to cats.
Yeah.
I like that. It's subtle moments, right?
It is a little moment, yeah.
And we get to use the cat.
Cool. All right, well, I think we got a wiener. I think we do.
A whiner?
Wiener, winner.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Wiener Schnitzel, it's the Germans.
Yeah,
Das Wiener Schnitzel.
That was, hey, we made loose cannons work. It's like we've done this before.
Right?
Like almost 400 times. Well, 200 times, I guess. But.
Yeah. So many times. This was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing loose cannons. I did not enjoy watching it again. I had better memories than the movie deserved.
Because you love Dan and you love Gene.
Yeah, there were segments that made an impression on me, and then coming back to it made me realize why I hadn't watched it in so long.
Yeah.
It was just those actors you really like, but it just wound up being a bit of a mess.
Yeah. It's the whole thing. You realize the folly of watching anything just because it has a certain actor sometimes.
Yeah.
We've all done it.
Yeah.
Sure have. Well, if you want to see us do this live, oh my God, we are going to be live at the Calgary Expo in just a few days now. So if you're in Calgary for the Calgary Expo, come join us. It is free with your entry to the Calgary Expo.
Yep.
We will be there Friday for the live show at 5 o'clock Mountain Time. Look at your schedules. I'm not sure what Palomino room we're going to be in yet, but we will be there, and we're going to be doing Batman and Robin, the most infamous of Batman movies.
Yeah. I think it's a full teardown, if I'm honest.
That might be.
It's going to be a tough hour.
We're gonna have to bring some bricks with us to rebuild that foundation. But thankfully, we need your help, and it's not just going to be us. We're going to have a whole lot of people there to help us build this brick house back up. Little piggies blew it down, and we're going to build it back up into something far more enjoyable. Hopefully, with you, our audience.
Rather than a shit brick house, it's a brick shit house.
Brick shit house, yes. So join us Friday, April 28th at the Calgary Expo. We're looking forward to doing the live show. And if you can't join us, don't worry. It's going to be an episode we will drop in the near future. Very near future.
You betcha.
Yeah. And of course, if you like what we do, follow us on our social media at Invasion Remake on Twitter, Invasion of the Remake on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And of course, Invasion of the Remake at gmail.com if you want to email us your suggestions, your corrections, and your comments, and of course, your fan challenges. And if you've got one, email it to us. And if it passes the smell test, maybe it'll become a future episode.
Yeah. And aim for a good hook. Aim for a good hit. Jay's a sucker for
if you've listened
a wild
to the show,
hook.
If you listen to the show, you know what I like. The buck stops with me.
Yeah, and the weirder the better.
I like a weird movie. I do.
Well, sometimes we hate the weird movie, but we like the weird hook.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes we'll hate the weird movie. That happens a lot, actually. But
the
there's a
odd
weird
time-
hook that I can work with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Need
The
something
odd
to work
time
with.
the movie is a bit too weird and there's crying, mostly by me. Liquid Sky, rocking and crying.
Who's Sam?
I'll take the blame on that one.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Be careful what you give us.
That wasn't even a
We're
fan
real
challenge.
people. I know, but you still, you know what? Even that, it still hurts. Hard Rock Zombies hurt out the gate too.
That was an early fan challenge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Our very first one, actually, wasn't it?
Yes. Just imagine we're real people with feelings. We have to
And
watch
then still
it.
hurt us.
Yeah.
Hey, I watched things on my own. That's terrible.
Yes.
That's the gauntlet, man.
Yeah.
I saw Necromantic.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems like, yeah, that was a bad
I don't know what.
that was a bad turn, dude.
Well, I didn't know. So we've all done it.
Yeah.
We've sat through shit.
Yeah.
Lots of shit.
Well, no, not anymore. If it's shit, I will turn it off unless it's for the show.
Oh yeah. There's times too where I'm like, I can't do this. I'm a grown up. I can leave when I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I felt like I was doing like the things in Necromantic were both Joe Bob showing, so I felt like I had people at my back.
Oh.
Yeah.
We're all supporting each other online. So I blame Joe Bob for those.
Talk about trauma.
Yeah, right. And if you want to support the show, give us a 5-star rating and a short review over on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to our podcast. It helps get more
Earballs.
on the show. You can also support us by visiting our store. You can easily find it through our website.
Invasionoftheremake.wixsite.com/podcast.
And over there, you'll find t-shirts, mugs, posters, PP masks, totes, stickers, pillows, and a whole lot more. Well over 70 designs and more dropping all the time. So follow us there and follow us on our social media. You can get yourself something really cool. And when sales happen, we'll try to let you know.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. With the following, you get to know about the sales, which is also good.
That's right. You can follow us, like you can follow artists on TeePublic, or you can follow us on our social media and find out that way as well. Lots of cool designs, so go check it out. And even if you click that link and then continue shopping, like we do get affiliate buys too, right? So even
Nice.
if you don't like one of our designs, there's literally tens of thousands of designs to choose from if you follow that link, and it'll still help us out because you've used our link.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to shop there anyway, use the link.
Yeah. Shop our store, then shop more.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll
Save Mart.
it'll
Shop smart. Shop Sam Mart.
yeah, and it doesn't tack on anything extra, but it does help us out. So use our link, and it helps keep this podcast free for you every single week.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we got another one for you next week. Here's your hint. It's going to be under pressure. Going to be a little bit of pressure, and we're going to put the heat on you.
Mm-hmm.
That's your hint. That's all I'm giving you. It's not much,
But it's enough.
but it is enough if you can decipher it. So if you know what next week's is, let us know on our social media. We won't tell you if you're right, but you'll find out if you're right. And maybe you get a chance to watch the movie beforehand.
Yes.
If you want
If
to.
you want to. Actually, movies, because we're doing a comparison next week. So, all right. Until next week, I've been Jason.
I'm always Sam.
And I continue to be Trish.
And we are out of here. See you at the expo.
Police spokesmen have refused comment. Here now is exclusive footage taken 3 days ago by an Australian delegate, when Israeli agents interrupted Kurt von Metz's speech with this astonishing film showing the death of Adolf Hitler by ritual suicide. Here one can see Hitler kneeling before the young soldier chosen to deliver the coup de grace. That soldier is none other than Kurt von Metz, leaving no possible doubt that von Metz was a member of the Nazi inner circle. Here one can see undeniably the striking thunderbolt birthmark under the left eye of both the elder and the younger Kurt von Metz. Irrefutable evidence.